Okay, so to make a pinch pot from your 8 ounces of clay, you take your spear, you hold it in one hand, and with your other, you begin to push and turn at the same time, going deeper and deeper toward the bottom of the vessel. So essentially you're making the floor of your pinch pot by turning and pushing downward. You want to have about 1/4 of an inch to a half an inch is a little thick, between the outside contour and the inside floor. If you're unsure about that, you can take your pin tool, which looks differently than mine, but they all have the same end. You can stick a index finger inside, take your pin tool and push it through from the outside until it meets your finger on the inside. And then place a finger on the outside flush to the surface of the clay. As you pull the pin tool out, do not move that finger, and then you will know that the floor of your vessel is the distance between the end of your finger and the end of the pin tool. So I've got about 1/4 of an inch there. I do have a little hole in the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and just fill that in. Right now, if I were to cut that in half, this is what the inside would look like. Essentially, the contour of my thumb, about 1/4 of an inch down here at the bottom, thick walls, because I haven't begun to pinch them out yet. You want to start pinching by using your hands like this, not like this. You don't want to use small surface area and a lot of force. That will make a very unevenly pinched, a lot of thick and thin spots. If you use the broad or wide surfaces of your fingers and your thumb, you will have a lot more control. And as you begin to pinch and squeeze those fingers, you also continue to turn the vessel. So it's pinch and turn and pinch and turn. Once you've made kind of a complete circle all the way around again, take a little bit of time and just try to even out any thick or thin areas. You want to do that as you go so that you don't have a lot of work left over at the end to take care of. If I were to cut that in half, this is what that contour would look like. Much thinner now down here at the bottom, and still a lot of clay up here because I haven't really begun to pinch that clay yet. So again, using the broad part of your fingers, you're doing the pinching. Another thing you want to keep in mind is to keep your hands kind of cupped this way as opposed to pinching outward. If you pinch outward, you'll end up with a V shape instead of a cupped shape. And as you complete your rotations, just move up along the walls. If your vessel kind of starts to crack on the rim, just take your finger and smooth that out, your finger or your thumb. Do not use water, do not use your sponge. That will incorporate water into the walls and it will make them flimsy and difficult to work with. So you can see that I'm not turning as quickly as I was before. I'm taking a little bit more time to make sure that my pinching is kind of even in the areas right around where I am pinching the clay. Okay. So right now this is fairly even wall thickness, but it is a little bit uneven. And so at this point you want to go ahead and really concentrate, feel those walls, and try to even them out. Normally you have thicker areas, so you just go ahead and go to those and pinch them out so that they get thinner. If you do have a thin spot, you can correct it. Sometimes just by moving a little bit of clay into one other area, or sometimes by adding a little bit of clay. If you have to add clay to a thin spot, you want to kind of flatten the clay out, put it in the thin spot, and then you want to use your serrated rib and smooth the edges into the pinch pot. so that that serrated edge helps to move the clay. And then you can smooth that out. Okay, so I'm gonna just take a couple more moments to really make sure that my walls are even thickness. With a 1/2 pound of clay sphere, you should end up with a bowl, if it's pinched to about 1/4 inch thickness the whole way around, you should end up with a bowl that's about 2.5 inches tall and close to 3 inches across or in diameter. To make the rattle, you need to have 2 pinch pots that are approximately the same size, as you'll be joining them like this.